Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, and welcome back to No Game Scheduled, the show where we talk about sports even if there are no games scheduled. Whether you're joining us on Spotify or YouTube or listening on the radio at WJOB 1230 AM, 104.7 FM, or following along on the JED TV app, we thank you very much. Have everybody here today, Caleb Bernard, Matt Lamsky, and star of How to Train Your Dragon, Toothless, a.k.a. Anthony Hudson. I'm sorry, I had to do that to you.
Wow,
I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry.
That's
sorry.
bogus. I'm not gonna lie.
I'm so sorry.
That's
I'm
so
sorry.
bogus.
Love you.
Wrote that down.
Host of It's My Turn with Anthony Hudson. Anthony Hudson. Got a little bit to talk about today. A wide variety of sports news and sports topics. Let's get started right away with talk about the Memphis Grizzlies. The Grizzlies, this came out last week, fire Taylor Jenkins, their head coach. Taylor Jenkins, at the time, the Grizzlies are the 5th seed. I don't know if they are anymore, but he had a all-time winning record of 250 and 214. They fire him 9 games before the playoffs. Caleb, I'll shoot this one to you first. What's your opinion on this, and how dumb do you think this is?
I heard rumors that they lost the locker room, and this was kind of because if we remember correctly, when he was coaching, they were like second in the West. So I heard rumors that they lost the locker room. And I mean, if you feel like you need to make that change, make that change. I mean, you can't force it. You can't force something great. So, is it a bit surprising? Yeah, but if we're not in there eternally, so from what I've heard, it had to happen.
Matt, how about you?
I mean, I have mixed feelings about it because playoffs are coming up. So I don't know if this is like a great idea to fire your coach right before the playoffs. I mean, if you do have issues with the locker room, I feel like if the coach knows that there's like an issue, like GM goes to the coach and everything, he should just be like, hey, tell the players, tough it out for the rest of the season, and then we'll reevaluate, depending on how we do. Like, that's kind of how I would do it. Obviously, I'm not a GM, but that's my opinion. Like, I don't know. I don't agree with the firing. I think if a change needs to be made, you need to do it before the All-Star break or before the trade deadline. Not, what is it, like two weeks before the playoffs? Something? How close are we to the playoffs?
I mean, it was 9 games. I think we're at single digits now.
Yeah, so less than a month away.
I don't think that. I think that's a choice to say the least. So maybe it'll work out for them, but.
I just want to know, like, you guys both bring up good points, and I agree with both of you. It's like, how severe, like, Caleb, you talk about how they lost the locker room, and Matt, you talk about, changes need to be made. How severe were the problems that you're willing to fire your coach 9 games out from the playoffs? And you have a playoff spot. It's not like you're in the play-in, right? And what's your take on it? Go ahead, Caleb. Go ahead.
I was going to say, I heard a part of it was optimizing Ja Morant. Like, part of the issue was that. So just more food for thought. My bad, Eric. You can go.
No, you're good. If no one's on the same page, that's a severe problem. I that's what I look upon it as. And I know the timing is kind of skeptical as far as, like Matt said, why would you do that weeks before the playoffs? Do it at the moment that it needs to be addressed. If it's been going on for weeks, months now, please get rid of the head coach if it's not the best for your system, it's not the best for your locker room. And who knows? I mean, I've seen plenty of interim head coaches do great the second half or in the playoffs for their team. So as long as the Memphis Grizzlies get back on tempo and get back with that chemistry, they can have an interim head coach and can still go to the second, third round. So I see no problem with it.
Right now, the Grizzlies are at the 6th seed. They are 44-32. They have lost 10 of 8 out of their last 10, and they are currently on a 4-game losing streak. So unfortunately, and I don't know if this is a situation where you can get to the second round if this is how you're finishing off the regular season. And also, we've talked about before, don't let the Western Conference fool you. The Western Conference is pretty strong right now. The 10 teams who will make the playoffs, including the play-in, they will be tough teams to beat. And if you're going in, you don't have a serious game plan offensively or defensively, mind you, it's going to be tough for you come playoff time. But moving on to, we're going to talk about the Eastern Conference real quick. The Cavaliers are still in first place, the Celtics in second, the Knicks and Pacers right behind them in 3 and 4. The Bucks have been sliding due to the loss of Damian Lillard, and also just Giannis seems disinterested. Here's the question I want to bring up to you guys right now. I don't know how many more games. Let me see how many games they have left. The Celtics have a good amount of games left. They have 7 games left in the regular season. Celtics are currently 4 games back from first place. They're 9-1 in their last 10. They're currently on a 9-game winning streak. The Cavs, who are 60-15 this season, are 5-5 in their last 10. They've been sliding a little bit. They have been struggling. Do you guys think the Celtics finally catch the Cavs come the end of the season here and take first place? Matt, we'll start with you.
I think that Celtics are doing everything right. I mean, they're on a 9-game winning streak right now. They're 9-1 in their last 10, and the Cavs are 5-5. In their last 10, I'm sorry. Just to clarify. But, I mean, if they keep it rolling, yeah, I think they could catch them. I think it's a real possibility. I don't think that this will change the result of what I think will happen during the playoffs. Like, I don't think Cavs make it all the way to the or Celtics make it all the way to the finals. But we'll get to that once the time comes. So, yeah, they have a chance to catch them. Obviously, if they just keep rolling, keep doing their thing, they'll be good.
Right now, this video or show is being recorded on Wednesday, or April 2nd. So today, this will be passed, but today or tonight, perhaps, the Cavs are taking on the Knicks and the Celtics are taking on the Heat. The Cavs have to play the Spurs, the Kings, the Bulls, the Pacers, the Knicks again, and the Pacers to finish off the regular season. Meanwhile, the Boston Celtics, they get to take on the Miami Heat tonight, the Suns, the Wizards, the Knicks, the Magic, and they get to finish off the last 2 games of the season against the Hornets. So schedule-wise, it's definitely in the Celtics' favor. Caleb, what do you think?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I was looking at what the final games were, and it definitely looks favorable to the Celtics. Cavs, Bulls. I mean, you never know with the Bulls now. They just seem to be on a run. Pacers, they're
why
fourth.
Why are the Bulls on a run right now? What are we doing
for that? They clinched the play-in spot, so they're trying to scare these teams.
Did they? They clinched it.
Yeah, they did. Mm-hmm. They did.
The post is out and everything. Oh wow, that's crazy. Okay. Yeah, I mean,
4th year in a row.
First round exit, baby. So I mean, the road looks harder for the Cavs. So I'm gonna say the Celtics take the first seed.
And there's not too much to talk about. Well, that's not true. There's a little bit to talk about with your Atlanta Hawks that we'll get to in a minute here. But your Atlanta Hawks are down there at the 8th seed. So unfortunately, you guys are stuck looking up at the rest of the Eastern Conference. If you had to give confidence to another team that wasn't the Hawks, the Bulls right now, who would you give it to?
You said if I had to get confidence of another team in the East?
Mm-hmm. Celtics or Cavs, maybe Knicks, Pacers.
Probably the Pacers, honestly. The Pacers been pretty solid. As far, I'm trying to think. Hold on, let me see. Because I gotta look. It's not the Pacers. It's another team. I kind of floated with the Knicks. The Knicks. Honestly, floating with the Knicks. Like I said, like I said in the past, I don't think they're going to go far. But as far as this year, I just feel like they're setting up for a contender the next year. That's what I feel like they're doing as of right now. I mean, Cat's been having a great year with his play in New York. So, yeah, go with the Knicks. It'll be solid.
I mean, I have another thing. When are we going to start respecting the Pistons? Right?
Yeah.
Because
Dude, that's been a conversation for the whole year.
Before we laugh, right? I know they were bad, but they're fighting teams. They're playing decent basketball. They fought to the 5th seed. They're obviously, I don't think they're gonna win the chip, but do we put a bit more respect on them now that they've done the work and they've actually built a contender, or at least
I'll tell you what, team. Just being what they are, being who they are, I can totally see the Pistons beating the Knicks in the playoffs. I can totally see it happening. Just with it being first of all, look at it this way. Look at it this way on a basketball and a conditioning set. Matt, I don't know what you need to like lock in or something over there. You've been losing your mind for like less than 2 minutes.
It's fine. I'll get to it.
But like look at it this way. We all know, I've talked about it before on the show, Tom Thibodeau's like, working players until they die level mentality. Okay. Do you really think you could go up against the physicality of the Pistons without getting a break for 7 games straight? I don't think you can. I think the Pistons just outwork the Knicks through and through.
Makes sense.
Matt, what do you have to add to this?
It was just talking about, like, I feel like they're setting up for that championship year with the Knicks, and I'm just like, no, they're not.
No,
both
contenders.
For 4 years.
No,
they're not.
Contenders. That's all I said. What's contenders? There's a difference between them winning championship and contenders. That's all I said. Contenders. That's a huge line, Matt. That's a huge line.
I'm gonna rub my magic crystal ball here and just make a wild prediction. The Knicks ain't winning this year.
Yeah.
So let's.
I'm gonna rub my magic ball and say the Knicks aren't winning the next 10 years.
You know what? Let me pull out a second magic ball. 20. It's not happening. No, they're never winning again. So here's the real question, though. Here's the real question: if the Knicks get knocked out of the playoffs, let's see how far they go. Right? Maybe they go to the finals and lose. That's a different conversation. But like, at what point do you start talking about maybe we need to get a new head coach in? I don't care if you have the locker room or not. Obviously, Taylor Jenkins gets fired because he doesn't, according to Caleb. But it's like, okay, maybe you have the locker room, but you still can't win as a coach. Is that a change the Knicks need to make? What is it the Knicks need to finally just get over this they'll never win mentality that we continuously joke about?
No idea. I have no idea. Like, literally. You could say it's coaching. I would not say that 100% it's not coaching. But, they finally got a somewhat of a three-player combo that's been going good for them. Anobi's been playing amazing basketball this year. Like, he's definitely stepped up in the ranks. Jalen Brunson averaging 26. We already knew he was going to be better. And then the addition of Cat, him averaging 12.8 rebounds, and him at one point being an MVP caliber player. It's just like, time is the only thing. That's the only X's, because it's just like they have all the pieces, do they not? They have all the pieces. It's just like, how much chemistry can you get from that big three? And can they develop and enhance their play to the point to where they could be contenders? And I feel like they can. Not championship level, but contenders.
I feel like I disagree with you. I feel like it's time to look at the body of work Tom Thibodeau has put out in front of us and realize he's not a winner, right? It's just, he's not, we've watched Tom Thibodeau teams in Chicago and Minnesota. He's gone all over. He hasn't won, and he's had a collection of great players. Think of all the all-stars that he's worked with, right? Jimmy Butler, he's worked with Chicago. He's been everywhere. I just don't think he's sustainable to be like, okay, we're going to win the chip with this team. And I don't know what it is. I don't know what magic touch it is, but I don't think he has it. And he's been in the NBA for, decade plus? Like, he's been here for a long time. And he's had his opportunity, so I think it's him. If you bring in a new coach, if you bring in, the Boston Celtics keep spawning these random coaches and leading them to championship. Look into them. Like, I don't know. Look into someone. But if you're sick with the same illness, try to treat it. You don't just sit there.
Go get Rick Pitino.
Yeah, that is true.
Can you imagine?
Definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again.
Thank you. There you go. Can you imagine a post-game interview with Rick Pitino? Every time Karl Anthony Towns changes his voice, I want to kill myself. That'd be a post-game interview with Rick Pitino about the Knicks.
Let's voice go again. How Cat voice go again?
Cat's voice. Cat will just he'll start an interview like someone. Caleb, go ahead and ask. Caleb, ask me a question like a reporter would ask, like Karl Anthony Towns, like post game. Like, what would be a post game question from Karl Anthony Towns?
All right, Karl. A tough game tonight in the paint. You didn't get as many rebounds as we were hoping you're gonna get. What happened? What led to your misfortune tonight?
Yeah, so the guys really came in. They did a great job defensively. They really helped me out on the boards. It's like, hey, we caught that at the beginning there. We caught it. We saw it happen.
After all that,
go look up. Hey, folks, if you're bored right now, you can. I give you permission to click off this show and go look up a Karl Anthony Towns changing his voice compilation. I promise you. What do you think's longer? Let's have a real question here. What do you think's longer? The compilation of Karl Anthony Towns changing his voice, or the compilation of Paul George having game winners hit over him? Which one do you think's a longer video? Results may shock you. It's a good
compilation of Eloy Jimenez getting thrown out.
compilation of Eloy Jimenez. Compilation of Eloy Jimenez playing baseball. Thanks for watching, guys. That's the end of the video.
Do you remember when the White Sox acted like Eloy died and they were like, he's in our hearts tonight, and they held up a jersey and he just had like a cold or something? He was out for like 3 games, and they're holding up his jersey, and the Twitter admin's like, in our hearts tonight. Why?
a man with a common cold.
Yeah, he was out for like a couple days. It's like, in our hearts tonight. And they weren't even playing somebody. They were playing like, who were they playing? They were playing somebody bad. They were playing like Oakland or something. Like, they weren't playing anybody good.
Let's look at the Western Conference for a little bit. It's a pretty tight race. We all know that the Thunder are probably going to the NBA Finals. They're 63-12. They have a really good chance to put up one of the best records in NBA history come the end of the season here. The Rockets, time of recording this, are currently sitting at second place, 49-27. Nuggets, third, 47-29. The Lakers, 46-29. The Warriors, 44-31. And the Grizzlies, 44-32. The Timberwolves, Clippers, Mavericks, and Kings are competing for the play-in. I'm actually really surprised the Mavericks are still here. I really thought they would have just faded into obscurity at this point. But who do you guys? Okay, so let's not look at the don't say the Thunder, because we know they're the favorites. But of the teams who aren't the Thunder, who do you guys like in the Western Conference right now, Matt? I don't trust. I dude, you're gonna make me stop sending questions to you.
You can move on. I need a minute to think.
Okay, Caleb, go ahead.
Whoa, I didn't even realize the Rockets were second place in the NBA. Like,
Yeah,
dude,
man.
Think about it. That rebuild from James Harden in like 2016, where they threed themselves to death. They've rebuilt to an actual team before the Bulls actually did something. Anyway, so last night the Nuggets I forgot who they played. They played like a double overtime against like another Western team. Maybe Utah. Was it Utah? Who was it?
What team are you talking about?
The Nuggets.
I talking about like when Jokic dropped like 61. Is that what you're talking about?
Oh, Timberwolves.
They went to OT against Timberwolves yesterday. Yeah.
Yeah. Right. And I saw Gordon stomp out of the game angry, and I looked at the team, and I feel like I can't ride them anymore for my favorite besides the Thunder. Right. I can't pick them.
Ride them.
Pause. Right. Because obviously Jokic magic runs out, and if not role players, but if players are stomping, leaving the court angry, like there's obviously something in that locker room that needs to be dealt with. But there's a man on the Lakers named LeBron James.
Say it, Matt.
Hey, you give me OKC Thunder pulling a rug under with the boy wonder. Lakers in 5.
I might have to change my pick to the Lakers, man. Because I used to have the Nuggets, but I don't know. Last night really shook me the wrong way.
Just maybe a couple weeks ago, Bronny James came 84 points away from breaking Wilt Chamberlain's record. He was this close, guys. He's got it. No way. I think if any team comes out of this,
84 points.
He was this close. If there's a team that's coming out of the West that's not the Thunder, I might pull for the Warriors. I think it might be the Warriors.
They have
after that game last night.
I'll tell you what. I'd be pretty afraid of the Warriors in the playoffs. I'm already afraid of Steph Curry in the playoffs. Imagine adding Jimmy Butler to that team. I mean, they have figured it out in a very quick time. I give a lot of credit to Steve Kerr, great coach, but also just the players. They know how to morph styles. I'm really surprised we haven't seen Draymond Green and Jimmy Butler fight yet. That will come. That's not an if, it is a when. It's not an if, it's a when they fight. That video is going to need to get posted on Live Leak, I think. Tomorrow or today, by the time this video comes out, the Warriors and the Lakers are actually playing at 9:00. That'll be a really good game to watch.
Ooh.
Let's move on to something a little bit less serious. I guess it's actually more serious in the NBA. Let's talk about the Atlanta Hawks halftime performance real quick. So for those of you who are unaware, the Atlanta Hawks, they had a, it's not even during a halftime, it was during a timeout. They had like a little game where, let me see, I'll just pull up the video. I don't even know why I'm describing it. I'm just going to do us all a favor here. Let me get this. So for those of you who don't know, there was a challenge that the Atlanta Hawks did where like they brought two fans out at a timeout and they said, hey, start in the middle and then run down and try to get a layup. Well, one of the fans, older gentleman, really, giving it his all, putting it all on the court there. He actually obviously was playing a little bit harder than the Hawks players have been the last couple of months. This man, let me just fast forward to it here real quick. Let me see if I can pull it there. Yeah, this is good. This is a good stopping point. Let me share my screen here and everybody can watch this along with me.
Ankle slime, ankle slime.
Here we go.
My leg.
Is this copyright?
Oh, he's pausing it. Oh, that's so embarrassing. Like, that's so embarrassing.
I don't think I can play anymore.
You can give me Baby Bell, ACL, MCL, Lakers in 5.
Like, I've actually been on that court and played on there before and realizing, like, how many people are in the stands. But it was empty for me. I can imagine, like, 10,000 people watching you do that. You didn't even get a chance to do the half court shot. The first thing you do is slip and fall and tear your ACL.
I think he got back up and like tried to finish. Like I think he did.
Love that.
Oh my god.
Love the hustle, man.
Team on his back, one leg.
Dude, he was definitely like, this is my Kobe Bryant moment right here. This is my Kobe Bryant moment.
We can afford all this money for renovations, but can't afford no water boys to mop it or whatever.
Also, I'm pretty sure the Hawks broadcast on Bally Sports, and if you don't know what that means, Bally Sports they don't go to commercial. They show everything that happens. So this was technically a nationally televised event.
Yeah.
Wow, yeah.
The guy even stopped. Like the guy he was going up against stopped. It was like, dude, what? Oh man, you know what? I don't want to laugh. I'm sorry for laughing. Shout out to that guy. I'm sorry. He did something that most of us probably would never be able to do.
That's a fun thing.
No, I could tear my ACL. I could do that. If I could do that.
I can wreck my shit.
Yeah, no, that's possible.
Let's move on now real quick to the NCAA, to the Final Four. March Madness is in full swing. Matt, how's that parlay looking?
I can cash out at 87 cents right now. I moved up from 44 cents to 87 in like the weekend. So listen, the biggest challenge of the bracket is coming. Like my parlay is coming up. Duke's got Houston. That's a big challenge. And then UConn has UCLA. Those are the biggest ones.
Friendly reminder for those of you who haven't heard it before, Matt currently has a parlay going where he guessed the champion of pretty much every major sporting event for like the next year. So he has Duke for men's basketball and UConn for women's basketball, which are he's very good odds. Yeah. So Matt, let me ask you something, right? So let's say you hit these two. Right, you hit Duke and you hit UConn. The next major sporting event will be the NBA Finals.
It'll be NBA and NHL.
So you took the Thunder. Let's ride that out, baby. Let's keep that going.
I need to, you know what, while I'm here, when are the NHL finals scheduled?
This is what we're going to do. Everybody, I want you to go to our social medias at the No Game Scheduled Pod. I want you to continuously comment on every video Matt is in. And I want you to say, Matt, keep it riding, keep the parlay alive. And then when the parlay dies and he loses it, I want everybody to spam, we told you to cash out months ago, all right? I want everyone to gaslight Matt into thinking we told him to cash out this parlay. But Matt, would you consider it? If Duke and UConn won, would you consider sticking with the Thunder until the end of the NBA Finals?
Oh, absolutely. Unless Shea tears his ACL or something. No, I'm sticking with the Thunder. The only thing that would make me cash out sooner no matter if the Thunder are playing or not, is it is the NHL playoffs. That's it. Because I have Edmonton, and they're not winning anymore. They were hot for a long time when I made this bet, and then they just kind of.
Who do you think is going to win?
Probably Winnipeg.
Caleb, how about you?
Oh, well, did they win the President's Trophy yet? Now I don't know, because if they won the President's Trophy, they're not winning. Let me look.
Well, let's move on, though. I'll let you think about that. We'll come back to it in a little bit. Let's move on to the Final Four here for NCAA men's basketball. It is the first time since 2008 that all number 1 seeds have made it to the Final Four. The last time it happened, it was Kansas, Memphis, UCLA, and North Carolina. Notable players from that year, by the way, from that Final Four. Mario Chalmers, Derrick Rose, Kevin Love, Russell Westbrook, and Danny Green. So some big names there in the 2008 Final Four. We got some big names in this Final Four as well, the 2025. Obviously, we know Cooper Flagg. We know Johnny Broom. Or Janai, excuse me. But there's some guys here on Florida and Houston who I think are going to make a name for themselves in these games. And I'll start down there with you. I think you were a guy who took Florida. How do you like these odds against Auburn?
I still got Florida going to the national championship, but Auburn's a great team, man. They play like in sync. They've been playing great offense all year. And it's funny because I was watching this. First of all, Charles Barkley. Charles Barkley is an alumni from Auburn. And he's been saying that all year that, Auburn's going to win it. Auburn's going to win it. And I'm just like, is Auburn really nice like that? They are a really great team. So I don't got them going against Florida. Don't got them going against Florida.
Charles Barkley also said, when a guy's banging you. Caleb, how about you?
I was the one that chose Auburn to win the whole thing, and I've been with that wave. I watched the Michigan game, and they looked pretty good. My concern is, I think it was Broom who took a spill. His elbow looked a bit messed up, and then he came back in the game and kept playing. He was still holding his elbow. I voice a concern for that because this Florida team is complete. This Florida team is a very good team. First seed for a reason. If I was a betting man, I'd take Florida, but my bracket says Auburn. I'm gonna hope Auburn pulls it out. But yeah, that's my concern. I'd pick Florida if I had to put some money on.
Matt, how about you between Florida and Auburn? What do you like?
I think Florida. I think, like Caleb said, they're a more complete team. They are probably, it is Duke and them. They were always the two favorites. So I'm sticking with Florida between Auburn. I mean, I wouldn't mind seeing Auburn as a person who has Duke winning it all. I wouldn't mind seeing Auburn because I know Duke can beat Auburn, but I'm not confident they can beat Florida. It'll be a better game with Florida and Duke.
I am also taking Florida only because I think Auburn prior to the tournament, they always just had games where one mistake happened at a really inopportune time and they just blew it. And their players got injured at random moments in the game. So that's why I had Auburn out. And so I took Florida also because they're just an incredible basketball team. And I still will take Florida. However, I would not mind seeing Auburn in the national championship if Duke makes the national championship, because I would really like to see the two best players in the country go up against each other. I think that's super entertaining. I mean, Broom and Flagg, that would feed families. Moving over to the other side, Duke versus Houston. I've watched a lot of Duke. I know you, Matt, you have as well. Caleb and Ant, I don't know if you guys have been paying attention as much, but everyone always says for the last couple of weeks now, you need to be a super strong defensive team who shoots the lights out from beyond the arc to beat Duke. Well, for a matter of fact, Houston is a really good defensive team who shoots the lights out from beyond the arc. And I think this might be one of the best ends. If it goes the way I'm thinking, this might be one of the best college basketball games we've seen in a really long time. Matt, we'll start back up with you on this one. Duke versus Houston. You sticking with Duke, but do you like Houston's odds?
I'm sticking with Duke, but man, Houston scares me. They are easily the best defensive team. I mean, I don't know if it was official or not. I don't know. I have to confirm that. But I think that Houston held their 16 seed to the lowest amount of points scored. In a from a 16 versus a 1, I think they held them to the lowest amount of points scored in the first round. And they honestly this Houston Duke game for me. I know we have Auburn and Florida on the other side. This Houston Duke game might be the championship deciding because I don't know if Florida or Auburn could beat Houston. Houston is probably the best team because, I mean, defense wins championships, right? So this for me, this Duke Houston game is the championship game. Winner of this game wins it all.
The two sides of the Final Four are definitely defense versus offense. I mean, Duke's a great defensive team as well. I mean, you run flag and then you run those three bigs they have coming off the bench. I mean, it's really tough. And then Duke and Florida, Florida and Auburn, they just score the ball at an extremely high rate. Caleb, how about you? Houston or Duke? Who do you like and who would you take in this game?
So let's be clear. Duke is the best team in the country.
Let me be clear.
We said this right before the tournament started. Cooper Flag, number 1 overall pick. He's probably gonna end up in like Utah or something. However, right, the Houston Cougars are a very slow team. Right, they limit possessions, and they made Tennessee look bad. They made they surprised me in how good they played. I feel like the matchup and how slow they play might usurp Duke, right? Because we say Duke's the number 1 team in the country. When does the best team in the playoffs ever win the whole thing? Right? Like, when does the number 1, this is the number 1 best team in the ever win it? And I feel like this is the moment.
UConn last year.
I would say the Dodgers just won.
I think he's talking about basketball. I think he's talking about NCAA basketball.
Sometimes things happen, and I feel like this is one of those things. I think Houston's slow enough, they're defensive enough, they play really well. They're on a hot streak right now anyway, so I feel like it's gonna be Houston. I'm gonna pick Houston.
I will say though, Caleb, I think you are correct, but to be fair, I think we're gonna see the trend of number 1 seeds getting to the Final Four and getting to the national championship. I think you're going to see that increase a little bit more as time goes on. I mean, last year, the Purdue and UConn were both number 1 seeds. This year, the Final Four seeds are all number 1s. I mean, Matt, you said it best. I think you texted us a couple days ago. Matt, you said, say what you want about the voting committee, but they had all the number 1 seeds making it to the Final Four. With the transfer portal and with everything involved in college basketball and just college sports as a whole, I think you're going to see the gap between really good teams and just okay teams. I think you're going to see it widen. And I think you're going to get to the point where you just have teams where it's like, this isn't like, you're going to see just like NBA caliber. Like Duke is an NBA caliber team, in my opinion. I think Duke could beat about half the teams in the NBA right now.
Duke could make the play-in.
No, for sure.
Duke
not even the
play-in.
Duke could make a 6 seed. Duke could make a 6 seed, I feel like. In the East,
I don't know,
in the East, I mean, dude, well, you gotta beat the Milwaukee Bucks without Damian Lillard.
Okay, fair.
Without Damian Lillard, you can beat the Bulls, you can beat the Sixers.
Playing's gonna be good. I like playing.
I thought he was gonna say
I can see him do it. I could see Duke. They have this team. They start the season in the Eastern Conference. I can see Duke, and the NBA goes the rest of it the way it is. I can see Duke being a 6 seed in the Eastern Conference.
I don't think the Utah Jazz would score more than 50 points against Houston right now. Like, I really don't.
That's
man.
true too.
I don't know, dude. Houston is.
I don't think I see the Utah Jazz scoring 50 points. Period. I mean, I don't think I see him do that either. You know what else I don't see? Any player on the 76ers. I don't know who they got anymore.
The process. So
I can see him do it. Just the process. But no, point being, you're seeing it this year. You're seeing Duke, who's an NBA caliber team as a whole, playing in college basketball. You're seeing Houston, who's an NBA caliber defense, playing, in the tournament. You're just going to see that more and more, Caleb. You're going to see NBA level teams, full roster. I'm not talking about singular guys. You'll always get an NBA caliber guy in March Madness. You're going to get 5 of them every single year. That's what the draft is for. But you're gonna see this happen more and more often with 1 seeds moving on. Does anyone disagree with that?
No, I 100% agree. I 100% agree with NIL deal. I mean, I'm doing a paper on NIL right now, and I searched up the top 5 athletes who got NIL deals. Number 1 is Archie Manning, and of course, who's number 2 is Cooper Flag. I mean, it's not going nowhere for any time soon.
And here's the thing. NIL is not playing, and maybe you want to add this into your story. NIL is not playing as big of a deal in college sports right now as people think it is. Because what is NIL? NIL is name, image, and likeness. It's essentially you as an athlete being used as marketing or like to have commercials. But I'll ask you guys this. Can you name more than 10 college athletes who you've seen on a commercial?
More than 10? I can name
More than 10?
I could probably name 10.
I might be
Men's and women's, I could probably name 10, but that's it.
Sure.
That's it.
But but you're talking about a combination of men's and women's across multiple sports. Archie Manning, Cooper Flagg, Caitlin Clark last year, right? Paige Beckers, Juju Watkins. So you're naming like the upper echelon, the top players in the league. Okay, but what about everybody else, right? They're not getting NIL money, but that's where collectives come in. And now we're getting to the point where schools, and the NCAA's allowed it, schools are just paying players at this point. They're just going to pay players for the opportunity to play at their school. It's not scholarships anymore, it's contracts. And I think that's the reason you're going to see college sports become a little bit. So NIL, I've honestly, I agree with NIL. I think it's for years the NCAA and schools have been profiting off of players, and it's been incredibly corrupt. And so NIL gives that power back to the players. But now I think you've given a little bit too much power to the schools as well.
I think one thing that I think all North American leagues should look out for now. We need to stop giving these people, like these athletes coming from college to the league, like top 10 picks. We need to stop giving them huge bonuses now. Like here's your $50 million signing bonus for being the 3rd overall pick. It's like, you don't need that anymore. You don't need that. What do you need? You've already made all that money. If you are the 3rd overall pick, especially in the NFL, if you're the 3rd overall pick, you've already probably made a decent chunk of money from NIL deals. Like Austin Genty, we may not see him on commercials. Like I see Paige Beckers on this one ad all the time. I forget what it is. I see it on Instagram all the time, but I see her face and I'm just like, God, I wonder how much money she's making off of that. Ashton Genty's probably making money.
Yeah, but
we just don't know what it is.
That only really happens in the NFL though. NFL and MLB, because those are the two like most expensive leagues that give signing bonuses like that. That's not happening in the WNBA. She's making more money in college than she is in.
Yeah, that's very true.
In the actual WNBA. But as far as NFL, I don't know. I don't feel like it's like, think of Caleb Williams. It's like the Bears gave Caleb Williams a signing bonus, right? But it's like, would you disagree with that? Caleb Williams is a number 1 overall draft pick, Heisman Trophy winner, coming in, going to be literally the savior of the franchise. It's like,
I heard that before.
Is that he's going to be? He's supposed to be. Is that a bad thing to give him a signing bonus? Like,
I know. I'm not saying like they're going to wipe signing bonuses out. I'm just saying these leagues need to lower some of the signing bonuses now for these athletes coming in.
Yeah, because they are expensive. $50 million is ridiculous.
Yeah, so like here's the thing. Like I agree with both Matt and Ant in this situation. I think, first of all, it also depends on the league entirely. I think you do need to have signing bonuses in the NFL, and I also think NFL players should get paid a little bit more per year than every other sport. Why? Because it's an incredibly dangerous sport, and people have died because of it. Right? Per capita, more players die from the NFL-related injuries than any other sport. So you're putting your body on the line. Right? CTE is a real thing. My problem is with NBA players, and Matt, I think this is where you might be coming from, is guarantee like signing bonuses. I don't care about that. Signing bonuses, I think, are just a tax write-off anyway for organizations. But signing massive contracts as a rookie, I think, needs to stop entirely. Zion Williamson, you can bring up. LaMelo Ball, you can bring up. John Morant, you can bring up. RJ Barrett, but like. Charles Barkley, Michael Jordan, they talk about it all the time where it's like, hey, like we worked to earn this money. And like, let's be honest, that's how every other job in America works. Every single one of us here have worked a retail-based job, a restaurant-based job. You don't get a raise unless you do good at your current job. Like Matt, or like Caleb, when you worked at Dunkin' Donuts, right? If you made bad donuts and bad coffee for 3 months, you weren't getting a raise. And when you worked at Home Depot, if you did a bad job, you weren't getting a raise, right? It's the same thing. Matt, if you dropped 15 dishes at your restaurant job, they're not going to give you more money or more opportunities to earn. And it's like, we need to like bring that mentality back into sports where it's like, you're a great rookie. Here's your rookie contract. Okay, after this, hey, you did great. You did great things as a rookie, so we're going to pay you back for that. But also, we think we're going to pay you for what you are about to do as well, keeping you with the team. I think that's the thing that needs to stop is just the guaranteed contracts because, I mean, guys aren't playing. I mean, Joel
I'm
Embiid.
confused. What do you mean guarantee contracts for rookies and when they come in, or are you talking about like afterwards? Say that.
Well,
like,
first of all, rookies when they come in, that's one thing that needs to stop is giving rookies contract extensions. That's just like blows their salary out of the water. I'm not talking about football.
Second and third year.
I'm kind of talking about basketball solely in this situation because football, again, I think football players deserve a lot of money but I'm just talking about like basketball players. Like we're giving just way too much money out, and this isn't just for rookies, but it's just like, again, Joel Embiid has played like 12 games the last like 10 years. He's making like $300 million, $320 million. Kawhi Leonard, Paul George, Zion Williamson, I already mentioned him. They're spending millions of dollars on games. You want to talk about why the NBA ratings are down? That's one of the main priorities. That's one of the main reasons right there. You're forcing people to watch players get paid hundreds of millions of dollars and then they don't play. Excuse me. I think they got to figure out a way to combat it. They got to do something, whether it's give less money or do whatever or improve the training staff. But like that has to be combated because the amount of money being paid to athletes for the amount of work they actually do is getting a little ridiculous, I think.
Yeah. I mean, but you got to also think about like the fines and the penalties that they get for not going to NBA games and the clauses and stuff like that. I mean, I know like up front, it's like $500 million, but they still are getting a lot of money taken back from all those times you missed, from the interviews where you cuss or talk bad about the team. Like,
don't do that, then.
I feel like the NBA getting their money back. Like
I'm not gonna feel bad for somebody skipping a day of work because you're making $500 million. Show up to work.
No, I'm not saying we're feeling bad. I'm just saying, like you said, the issue is the NBA is overpaying them like these big, huge extensions. But I'm saying the NBA is getting their money back. They're getting their money back. You got to look at all the fines that are racked up for the NBA players that they literally just put on like a tab bill and they get it back.
I think the league that does it the best in terms of rookies.
They don't. No, hang on. This is a common misconception, and I'm not trying to call you out, but like when players get fined, any league who does this, any league, NFL fines, Myles Garrett for, whatever, for, hitting that guy in the helmet, whatever. It doesn't go to the NFL. It doesn't go to the league, doesn't pocket the money. It goes to like their charitable organizations, like they're funding things. So like when it's like, oh, like NFL, whatever, like this group helped this number of kids. That's what the money goes towards. So the fines are just like,
you're right.
They're not pocketing it. So it's not like they're not making their money back.
They're nonprofit organizations. You're right.
Sure.
You're right.
So if everybody in a league became like Mormon and there was no fines, we wouldn't donate anything anymore? Is that what you're saying? They'd be like, sorry. Myles Garrett hit enough people on the head with his helmet, so we can't donate anything to Play 60 this year. These kids, man, that sucks. They're like, man, we didn't have to donate any money this year. That sucks for the kids. And Roger Goodell's wiping his tears with his $100 bills. He's like, man, that's so bad for these kids.
I think they got it. I think they got the money. I think
hilarious.
No, the league that does it the best in terms of rookies and amounts, it's unfortunate that they don't make enough money because, John, you're talking about athletes need to make more money. Hockey players need to make more money. That's what it is.
It's just all ratings, man. It's all ratings.
It's not only ratings. When you played football, how many times did you wear pads? Like, I'm not talking competitively. I'm just talking like you just go out in your yard and you just throw a football around. Do you ever wear pads like that?
No.
Okay. When you play basketball, you ever just like, you don't have to wear anything for basketball. You play soccer, you could play barefoot soccer. When you play hockey, you have to have skates, guards, sticks, pucks, gloves, like mitts. You have to have everything. That's the problem with hockey is the gear is too expensive. Yeah, you need it. That's the main point of hockey. You need to have ice.
No, I was playing NHL the game, right? And normally, like in the little scenes, right? Like for 2K or for Madden, they have them in like just athletic gear, like a tank top and shorts. I see the NHL hockey dude. The dude had on the full padded gear, the skates, the guard. I'm just like, bro's just casually in the locker room. Like, does he need to wear all this equipment? Jesus.
Yeah, it takes a lot. That's the thing. But getting back to like the contract and the rookies thing, it what how it works in hockey, sign the deal, you're 3 years league minimum, and then if they pick you up for a fourth year, they can give you or if they don't pick you up for the fourth year, you go through an offer sheet compensation. So if somebody in the free agency offers your rookie like a 8-year, $10 million contract, you get like 3 first-round picks, a pick of their choice after that that's like third round and below, and then a player of their choice, right? So that's how that works. Like, you still own that player, even though their rookie contract is up. And then if you want to keep that player, you can offer them any type of contract that they want. That for me is one of the best ways that it works, because I drafted that player. You want to take that player away from me in free agency. If he doesn't want to sign for me, I get some compensation. That I think that's, and it varies. Like if the Blackhawks offered some 7th round guy, like a 1 year, like $500,000 deal or whatever, they maybe have to give up like a 7th round pick. Maybe. Like, that's how it kind of works. So it just depends on how much the other team offers. But that's why I think offer sheet compensation is like one of the best things in the world. I love it in the league.
Caleb, what's your opinion? Sorry to cut you off there, Ant. I want to hear from Caleb here. Caleb, what's your opinion on all this? Do you think there needs to be changes, or guys? What's your take?
I feel like I'm looking at this through multiple sports. So I'm getting a bit, like, I'm following this through like the NFL, and I'm following this through NHL, and I'm following this through the MLB or NBA, right? The MLB, actually, that one needs to be discussed as well, because when you're a rookie, you get sent to the AAA, whatever.
You make no money. That's what, like, the one thing.
Purgatory.
I don't think people understand. Like, Ant, I don't even know if you know this. I don't even know if, like, you know.
It's really bad.
Like, Ant, minor league baseball players. I know personally minor league baseball players. They have to work jobs. Like, they have to, like, work retail jobs, and they're also staffed by the Chicago White, like the Los Angeles Dodgers, the Houston Astros. It's a tough life. But go on, Caleb.
Yeah. But so, like, obviously, well, I'm not gonna touch that because that's a whole different topic. But the way I see it, the contracts are kind of a reward for seeing your body of work in college. So I feel like the NBA kind of has it right, or in the NHL, where, like, if you're first overall pick, you should be getting the highest, and then second, third overall. I feel like they have it right, where the bonuses kind of make sense, and they're like, to where your draft position is. The NFL with the contracts, you have to invest in them a little bit as well, just because how many times do players go into the NFL and they're injury and they're blown out by the third year, right? They're just out of the league. So you do have to invest in them as well, and pay for their body of work too in college, because you bum knee, ACL, MCL, CDL, Lakers in 5. Things just happen that you can't control, and injuries can end a career. So I feel like you have to compensate for that.
I agree I agree with the NFL. That's why I said, like, I can't really, like, deny a guy making 300. What was Josh Allen's contract, like $350 million for like 5 years?
Yeah, 342, like, I think.
First of all, they don't have O-line, so, like, I get it. Like, he's gonna get hurt, and I completely understand that. I was more talking about the basketball sense, and I'll talk about baseball because you brought it up there, Caleb. I have no idea. Like, baseball players make a lot of money. I don't think it's talked about enough. We talk about NBA contracts all the time and NFL contracts. Dude, you need to, like, spend some time talking about going through MLB contracts.
It's ridiculous.
Ohtani, $700 million for 10 years. It's been deferred for 20 years. Juan Soto just got, like, what, 700? What was the fine? Like 714 for 14 years. I got to be honest. You guys know I love baseball. That's my sport.
Bobby Bonilla is still making money today. The
first day in baseball when a player signs $1 billion contract, I'm never watching again. I'm not doing it. How is it entertaining? How am I supposed to be, like, entertained at that point? I saw something the other day. Juan Soto, his first game with the Mets. So he signed a $700+ million contract. He singled his first time up, and then he went 0 for 3 the rest of the game, including he struck out to end the game. And people were like, some of the analysts, MLB analysts and ESPN were like talking about like, well, that happens in baseball. People were getting aggressive and saying stuff about him. Don't do that. No, $700+ million. I could say whatever I want about you when you strike out. That's what it is. That's what it is. If you want to make $700+ million, you then forfeit the right for people to not criticize you. And I think that's another problem that we're talking about with like sports and money is that like players want all this money, but then they also don't want anybody to criticize their work when they don't do what they're supposed to do.
Yeah. And I've always been confused by MLB contracts because yes, it's all this money, but the amount of years that the contract are for, it's like, is that gap between the highest paid player and now you're the highest paid player with $700 million? Is that gap really that much, or is it like $5 million more or $15 million more? Is it really that much from the previous highest paid player? Because I look at it, 14 years for 700. What is that? Let's do the math.
You can play a long, long time in baseball, though. Like there's a lot of things you can do in baseball. Like if you're a good hitter, you can just DH for how many years? Like 3, 4.
Sure.
You just do that.
So I'm sorry, by the way. So Juan Soto's direct contract is 15 years, $765 million.
Yeah.
So do it, Matt. So do it, Amp.
Bobby Bonilla still getting paid.
You said 15 years?
15 years. Yep.
That's $51 million. 51 a year.
So like, here's the thing. And I know what the argument is. I know what the argument is with that. Signing that long-term deal. So $51 million a year, right? He probably makes, if he signs a regular 5-year contract, right? He probably goes and gets $300 million, right? Which is for 5 years, so just a little bit over that, right? So he makes over $50 million a year with that. So the idea behind it is, hey, would you rather have $51 million a year for 15 years, or would you rather have $60 million a year for 6 years and then you don't know what happens after that? I completely understand it from a player's perspective. Get paid, secure your financial success and future for your family, for your kids' family, for your grandkids' family. I completely understand it. But it's also at the same time getting on my nerves because it's like, how am I supposed to watch this? How am I supposed to watch this? It's getting a little bit too much. And I think this is what the conversation is about, is handling, how do you toe the line between watching professional sports, but also you're watching players get paid hundreds of millions of dollars. They very clearly don't care about the game anymore because they just got paid $765 million. That's the struggle for me.
Well, there's no cap. You got to remember, no cap. And I'm looking at the Yamamoto contract. He's the 10th highest paid player in MLB history. That 25.
And that's what I'm talking about. It's like that's the guy.
Lifetime ERA of like 1.8, and he's getting paid top 10.
There got to be like incentives played, because it's just like, okay, you have all the money. What are other ways, like as an organization, we can keep you as a player to come in? Like, what are other ways? Like can we staple like something? Like, can we like give you a sign, a billboard, statue, something? There got to be like incentives put in place that'll be like, okay, I still want to play for you. I still want to give you my all. There has to be, because look at the whole Jimmy Butler situation. Jimmy Butler's in Miami, and he got tired of playing basketball in Miami. Like, there has to be incentives put in play for that. And I feel like that's just organization.
It's going to come down to, we want you to stay in the organization. Okay, I want to own part of the organization. That's literally what it's going to come down to.
Ooh.
Like,
that's kind of what was happening. That was kind of what was happening with Aaron Rodgers and the Packers at one point. That's kind of like one of that was like talked about for like a long time. It's like, because it's a publicly traded team. For a long time, Aaron Rodgers was kind of looked at as the CEO of the Green Bay Packers. That's what a lot of people, in Green Bay thought, right? That's what they thought. And so then it got to the point where like Aaron Rodgers was like, listen, I need more. Like I need more out of this. You're not building the team. You're not building anything around me. So I need something that's, if I'm going to stay here, I need something more than just being the quarterback. And obviously you all know what happened.
Wow. The LeBron James effect. Lead GM. That makes sense, honestly. I mean, look at Trae Young. He just became the GM of the Oklahoma Sooners, the basketball team. He's still in the NBA. He's still now a GM for them. That makes sense. That's honestly great thinking, Matt. Really. Give me a piece of the team. I'm tired of being on the team.
Young to the Thunder, by the way, out of curiosity. Does that link Trae Young to the Thunder?
To the Thunder. They already have SGA. What do they need another guard for?
You can move SGA to the 2. He already plays like Jordan.
I guess. That makes sense.
How much? Hold on. No. How much would they give up for that? What would Atlanta take for that?
Give us like 3 first-round picks. That's our franchise.
Who do you want?
3 first-round picks.
I'll tell you what. That's another part of it. Now, Ant, you just said that. Let's go back to baseball real quick. Why do contracts get so high? I don't know if you guys know this. You cannot trade draft picks in the MLB. It is not allowed. So you're not allowed to give somebody like, oh, here's my first from this year, here's my second from this year. So what that does is, because you're just giving players, well, then it's like, okay, well, their contract, we got to take all their contracts added up times X number of percentage. Okay, that's what this guy's contract is worth. But then that guy gets traded, and it's just like a snowball effect of like, we're now adding up rosters from guys who aren't even in the league anymore, not even in a pipeline, because they keep doing it. That's a huge problem. I agree with it. I don't think you should be able to trade draft picks in the MLB the way the MLB draft picks are handed out. But yeah, I mean, that's just part of the problem.
Imagine that, like, because there be NFL stars all the time that I know that get drafted by the MLB. And they get traded to another team. They were either on the original. How does that work? Like, because you were either on the team to begin with, and you got traded to another team. That would be a crazy scenario, honestly. What happens to those people that get drafted in MLB that don't go? The MLB has 3 systems of minor league play. So like the G League, the MLB has 3 G leagues. It's single A, double A, and triple A. Triple A guys, that's like, most of them are NBA caliber player, or I don't know, I keep saying that. Triple A guys are MLB caliber players. The problem is the team who currently like owns them, like their major league team, they already have someone in that position, or they can't fill out the roster for it. Double A and single A guys are, I mean, those are guys who are just like, I hate to put it this way, but like, as someone who's worked in minor league baseball, they're guys who just can't give up the dream, right? They're good players, right? They're definitely their best player on their high school team, but they didn't develop enough in college, or they haven't developed enough in the minor league system, so they just like stay there. But they also are super delusional, and they can't give it up. They can't walk away from, I'm gonna make it to the pros. It's like, well, you've been playing in Kalamazoo, Michigan for the last 15 years. I don't think you're making it, buddy.
The word that they're missing, what's called talent. Like, don't get me wrong, these single A and double A triple like players, sometimes they work harder than the players in the MLB.
Absolutely.
But they just don't have talent. Like, that's all it is. And I'm not saying like they're not talented, they suck. They don't suck. They work really hard.
They don't. But
that's just their peak. And that's why some of them like work 2 jobs. Like the average salary
they don't
for
get paid a lot.
AAA player, the average salary for a AAA player, $35,000.
Also, another problem is this is another issue, is that when you talk about that Juan Soto contract, so 2 things. Number 1, the amount of time guys are playing is increasing with modern technology, modern training, and also just contracts in general. Guys are playing longer, right? So guys who are in the pros are not leaving as fast as they used to. So that means there's less playing jobs. Number 1. That's number 2. They're getting a lot of guys in from overseas now. The international talent in the MLB, I would argue, is better than any other sports league, right? It is MLB is no longer an American game. It is an international game. And so, if you're if you're getting taken from international, right? If you're some 18-year-old kid from Puerto Rico or Cuba or Venezuela, and you get somehow found by an MLB team, you're not going to the minors. You are starting in the MLB game one, right? So less playing jobs that way. But also the MLB, they've reduced the number of roster spots in minor leagues and also in the MLB. They've also reduced the amount of rounds in the draft. And so now there's just less and less playing jobs in baseball. And so that's why guys are staying in the minors for so long, because it's like now they're super rare to get into the minor leagues, to even get on an MLB franchise. So it's like, well, now I'm in, so like I just have to stay here as long as I possibly can, because I mean, I know how rare this job is. The player economy, as it's called in baseball, is really effed up. And it's unfortunately not going to get fixed in a while.
It's been like that way for hundreds of years. It is what it is at this point. Like it's an unfortunate thing. But even though the player economy is really bad, ratings are still going up.
Yeah. Unfortunately, and like you said, it's been that way for 100 years, like Matt said. And unfortunately, or even more unfortunately, every single MLB commissioner who has come in has somehow made it worse than the last guy left. So
I just want to know, like, what happens when you don't want to go to, or you don't want to get drafted? Does it just disappear as far as organization? Like, you draft like a player, but they're going to the NBA. They don't want to go to
Patrick Mahomes got drafted. Russell Wilson got drafted.
What happens to that draft pick?
Tom Brady got drafted. Yeah.
What happens to that draft
pick? I think he got.
Kyler Murray got drafted. Yeah.
Does that draft pick just disappear for the organization, or do they get to draft somebody else?
So I think so. It's like, from what I've heard, I mean, there's been a lot of guys who are like this, where it's like Kyler Murray, I think, gave his money back, right? So like they give him a contract, he gives the money back. I don't know. That's a really good question, Ant. I've never found that out, because I mean that happens. I mean, guys get picked by multiple sports, right? So I don't know what would happen there. I'm guessing there's a buyout. I'm guessing that's what it is. I'm guessing the players. I'm assuming if I had to guess, that's what it is. It's like, for example, like Patrick Mahomes got drafted or whatever. I'm assuming the Kansas City Chiefs just gave, I don't know, whoever the Rangers, like, hey, here's $500,000. And I mean, dude, at the end of the day, it's a business, so they're not gonna. It's like, we had this draft pick that like didn't cost us anything, and we're getting $500,000 out of it. Dude, they'll sign that deal any day of the week. So
yeah.
A fascinating conversation. Good to talk to you guys about that, Matt. I just saw what your secondary name was on Riverside. Was there anything else you guys wanted to add?
I just found an answer. They don't get compensation, but if Kyler Murray ever goes back to baseball, no matter the time, his rights belong to the Oakland A's.
Wow.
That's all it is. They don't get.
He'll never go to baseball.
If I was Kyler Murray and I was done with football, I would go to baseball. Absolutely, I'd go to baseball.
Yeah.
Why not? My rights are still my rights are in Vegas now.
Yeah, very good. But great conversation. Thank you all so very much for joining us here on No Game Schedule. For those of you listening and watching on WJOB 1230 AM 104.7 FM or the Gen TV app, or whether you're listening on Spotify or YouTube, we thank you very much. From Caleb Bernard, Matt Lamsky, myself, John Massey, and make sure you go tune into It's My Turn with Anthony Hudson, featuring Anthony Hudson. Thank you very much for watching, and have a good rest of your day. Matthew?